going to read the next act's name because I don't want to get it wrong. The others I don't really care about, but this one feels like it needs some grandeur. So please, welcome to the stage. Start the clapping, the cheering, and welcome Patrizia Di Campli and Vito.
Hello everyone. So yeah, my name is Patrizia Di Campli and Vito, or if you're British, Paddy. And I'm a postdoc in computing science, more precisely in human-computer interaction, where we look at how people use computing systems. So that means to the utter horror and confusion of our colleagues, we actually run experiments with people. Well, actually right now they might be a bit jealous of us because our experiments are not as affected by the RAM shortage, are they? But what is usually happens for us is we build some kind of prototypes and then we get people in to try and use them and try them out, right? But it can be quite tricky to get these prototypes together because you have to get technology to actually work together for those. And as anyone who has ever tried to connect their laptop to a printer or their phone to the car knows, it can be just infuriatingly impossible to get them to be nice to each other. You try and nothing works, and then suddenly, poof, it just works randomly, right? Usually after I've tried it to turn it on and off again with increasingly more desperation and aggravation. And at some point it just magically works. So now imagine this being part of your daily life, only worse. Imagine instead of a printer, you have a gaming steering wheel that you connect to your laptop. And it just randomly disconnects and reconnects, and every time it does that, it has to calibrate, and for that it just randomly jumps back and forth like crazy. You have put some devices on there, you run through the room, you try to save the devices on the steering wheel. That is just trying to throw them off like an angry bull throws off a rider. What actually happens is that the steering wheel just gets tangled up in the wires and just strangles the whole experiment to death. So, yeah. Taming technology, one of the big things we have to do in human-computer interaction. The other one is then actually getting people in to try them out. And that can also be quite tricky. So it's easy if you just meet like random people. You usually get them by just dangling a voucher in front of a student's face. And then you get them in, you lure them in for the experiment. But it gets much more complicated if you need specific people, specific user groups. So back during my master's that I did back in Germany, we were trying to kind of improve the communication of deaf or hard of hearing participants and non-deaf participants. So we were trying to kind of translate so that each of these groups could use their natural language. So that means German Sign Language for the deaf or hard of hearing participants and just spoken German for the others. And we would then translate it. So German Sign Language would be translated into spoken German. And spoken German would be translated into signs, which we would then project on the torso of the person who was talking. So it would look as if they were actually signing. And yes, I said torso and person and not breast, because that is one of the many design challenges we had to overcome for this experiment. But what we obviously needed for that was we needed deaf and hard of hearing participants. And we reached out to a lot of different people for that. There were 3 local communities that we actually got in contact with. Local deaf communities where we knew people. We asked them to send emails to all of their members, several hundreds for each of them, emails going out. We actually made a whole video in German Sign Language explaining what would happen in the experiment and what they would kind of be doing if they came in for that. It was watched several hundred times. And yeah, I was learning German Sign Language with Deutsche Gebärdensprache at university. But I've actually forgotten much. But I want to just highlight how amazing the sign to forget is. Vergessen. Vergessen. It's like ripping knowledge out of your head. That's forgetting, right? Awesome. But also the other direction actually works quite well, because before you can forget something, you have to get to know it. So one way is like to explain, erklären. Is someone throwing knowledge at you. That is how we explain things. And then your job is to lernen, to lodge it into your head, to know it, right? Amazing German Sign Language, love it. But yeah, well, several hundreds email going out to people. Over 200 people watched our video. And in the end, we got six participants, right? 6. I can't believe that our radio ad didn't get more deaf participants for us. It's absolutely unheard of this. 6. heartbreaking, really. I don't even know if this is the sign for heartbreaking, but if it's not, it should be. What I do remember is this is a sign for thank you, danke, and this is a sign for goodbye, thank, tschüss. That was me, thank you so much.
Patrizia Di Campli, Vito!